Hello and welcome. My name is Mark Tyoxin, and this is the Witchy podcast, where we talk about all things witchy and many things not so witchy. With me today is the amazing Janet
Raftis.
Raftis. I was going to say that. Okay, hold on. Let's cut it, and then I'll. With me today is the amazing Janet Raftis. She's a magical being living an amazing life, doing great things here in Atlanta. Thanks for hanging out today.
Yeah, I'm grateful to be here with you.
All right, you have done or transitioned from one thing to another and sort of been able to make a life for yourself doing magic stuff. I talked about Janet Raftis. How do you describe what you do right now, even?
I get to be witchy, and I get to help other people get witchier. And so
that is a great descriptor. You get to be witchy, and you get to help people do that thing too.
Yeah, exactly. So I have with my girlfriend and my colleague, Lucas, we have a year-long magical trade school for the healing intuitive arts. It's called Kairos. And we are taking, an amazing group of women through this program that works cyclically with the wheel of the year. So it's all about basically the innate witchiness that we've had within us for thousands of years, but that was so persecuted and suppressed for so long that in our current time we're seeing an awakening of that. So it's really a big part of it is a remembrance of who we really are, like the women who are, and men too to some extent, but we just happen to have mostly women, and who identify as like medicine women, shamans, light workers, people who have traditionally felt like they couldn't be this thing, right? Either their parents or society was like, you have to go and do this, right? That's what we grow up in. And so there's a reclamation in that. And it's something that is it's encoded within our DNA, right? Our ancestors, before the persecutions began, we're all living in this way. And so it's like a coming home to ourselves again, getting to play in this energy.
What level of experience are these people coming to you with? Is it a wide range or sort of built for, you're at this point now, you're ready to work with us?
It is a wide range. So we have people who are just starting out, and we have people who've been in this world for many years. The people who've been doing it for a long time are with us more for the business side. So we teach the intuitive and healing component, but we also teach business, writing, everything you need to be successful as a healer. And so we have these people who've been in for a long time. We have the new people. What is like the common thread, or the thing that we're really wanting to cultivate? Let me put it that way. The thing we're really wanting to cultivate is helping people to get into that certain flavor of magic that is uniquely them, right? So you can learn a modality, but that modality may or may not reflect you. Right. And really, like, when we get into who we are, we all have like such special threads of how we work with spirit. And so it's a way of like tapping in, trying a bunch of different things, playing around with different modalities, with different practices, different experiences, and really finding that North Star that you align with, the thing that really lights you up inside of you, no matter how weird it sounds to other people. And then really cultivating that and making it your...
How do you do that about how many people are in the group right now?
We have 54 students.
Okay. How do you do that with 54 students doing reasonably at least 30 different things and different modalities of the tools that they're using and at different stages?
Right, so we teach certain points of healing, right? Certain ways to do healing work. We teach certain intuitive development threads. We teach on cycles. We have these different things, right? And it's more like you get a buffet. Okay. And you get to choose. Like, just because there's a buffet doesn't mean you have to eat everything there, right? So it's like, but you try it, right? You might try it. You might be like, I've never tried this food before, so let me see if I like it. Okay. Right? And then some people will love it and some won't. But that's part of the process, right? Because I think a big part of it for a lot of people who identify as witchy or who are like coming into that experience, they're like, they don't really know. They're like, I feel this thing inside of me. And this is a real common thing we hear. I feel this thing inside of me. I know I'm a healer, but I have no idea what that means. And so we give them this vast experience, but we help them to then take the pieces, right? So they have all the ingredients out, and they pick and choose their ingredients to make their dish.
Oh. I mean, even describing it's like, I can see why it's a full year, you know, not just like some 6-week program.
Yeah.
Like
it needs to be a year.
6 weeks to like being a professional witch, doing your thing. And we include business education as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, so yeah, because when you said it was a year, I was like, whoa, that's actually a substantial amount of time, you know, for a real program especially with that many people.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I'm assuming they're not always like together. It's not like 50 all the time. So.
Well, it's all virtual. So we have classes that are held together, and then they do practicums with one another. So they pair off and get to know one another, and then there's community groups within that as well. It's an amazing community.
Yeah.
I mean, the women have really come together and support and hold one another, and it's been an amazing process.
Now, have you found I don't know how to ask this, the sort of what people are afraid of has been different over the last couple of years, or is it kind of still a lot of the same things, like that's stopping them, I guess?
The biggest things that are stopping them are what me and Ina and a lot of other people identify as the witch wound. So the witch wound being either ancestral soul lineage persecution, right, for using their gifts and their power. This shows up as fear of visibility, fear of using your voice, right, fear of coming out of that closet, right? I mean, you know, there is in a lot of people, and I noticed this myself, I've done, you know, a lot of witch wound healing over the years, and then last summer when I was putting out an email that was real harsh on the patriarchy, and because I just love to deconstruct the patriarchy.
Probably deserves so.
And I went through like a moment of panic of like, I mean, what I heard in my head was, I'm gonna die. Like that was what popped into my head when I was getting ready to hit, you know, send. So, I mean, that was and it was visceral, I could feel it, right? And I think me having done a lot of work around it over the years and having a strong presence with myself, I was able to catch it. I think most of the times we suppress that and we don't know what's there. You know, I had plenty of trouble sharing things in the past or with visibility, but I didn't really equate it to why.
Is it like a fear reaction?
It was like a fear reaction.
I'm gonna die because of what I'm saying.
Because of what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that is what we notice shows up a lot. So, you know, not being able to express what they're doing, fear of social media, all of these things where like really there is a very valid within both the soul energy and in the physiology, because it's ancestral, right? That this fear is very real.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like the way we process and handle fear, whether it's real or not in our body, it's real, right? Because in our bodies and our minds can't tell the difference.
They can't tell.
Anyways,
nervous system has no idea.
Right, it can't tell the difference. So what is real? I mean, it's all the same, right?
Yeah.
So if you're feeling it, it's real enough, like pretty much.
It's valid.
Yeah.
Exactly. No matter what you feel is valid, right? No matter what you might look at what I'm afraid of and be like, oh, for me, that's no big deal, right? Or I might look at something you're afraid of and be like, I wonder why he's afraid of that.
Right.
But
well, I mean, part of it's the lived experience that we've had on top of anything before our lives,
exactly.
Right? But yeah, because that's perspective we're having, you know, it's like kind of like math, actually. So
totally.
Now, are you finding that? Over the course of the year, so they are in a starting place. There's got to be like amazing breakthroughs for people.
Yes.
I mean.
Oh my God. Yeah, you know, it is, we start at Samhain, so, which is like the death cycle.
Okay.
Right? So, I mean, the whole first 6-week cycle that we're in is like releasing, dying off, and like it's intense. Because
so when they begin, it's like, we're getting really witchy here, guys. Like we're starting at the witchy start. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Going from there.
We're starting like on the portal to the dead, right? So yeah. So it is. There's so much healing that's happening, but there's so much that's coming up, and so it's been, you know, in some cases it's a lot, and also as everyone's coming through it, you know, now we are just completed our third cycle. So we'll do Samhain, Yule, and Imbolg. And everybody's starting to really, I mean, I can't even, like the expansion and the healing that's occurred is profound.
I bet.
And what we're seeing happening through them is they're really coming to life in a new way. There's more confidence, there's more stepping into leadership, there's a more connection to their path,
right,
so to speak. Yeah.
It's very interesting. Do you think that, how do you feel about, because so I know you have quite the depth and breadth of knowledge, right? And with any of these things, people, or let me ask you, and we can cut this out or whatever, but let me ask you, how do you handle these practitioners, and depending on their level of experience, how they handle clients with trauma? Because it gets tricky, you know. We have all these skills and we want to help people, but obviously even, I don't think everybody realizes that you are not skilled enough to, not you, but they may not be skilled enough to help people and being able to identify their own limitations.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we will be covering all
okay.
of that. That's definitely put into the curriculum.
Right.
And we talk a lot about the embodiment practice, the importance of being embodied, the importance of recognizing nervous system patterns.
Right.
So there's a lot that we could have somebody come in and talk about the nervous system. And we're doing like the entire process. I mean, a big part, so we're doing healing work for them as well. There's actually also healing involved in this. So, you know, to be a safe practitioner, it's imperative that you can remain embodied and grounded and focused. And the ability to hold space is not something that everybody can do, right?
Okay.
And so there is a lot of our attention is placed on teaching this, as well as helping them, like facilitating healing that supports them in becoming more embodied. So we're doing energy healing, but we are also doing embodied practices as well along the way. So we are really approaching it from a lot of angles, and while we haven't gotten there yet, all the way, I mean, we're doing it as we go through the year, there will be a lot of emphasis put on that, because that is, of course, hugely important.
Right. I mean, I just think about, and not even in these sort of witchy practices and magical arts, but even just, you have all these life coach programs, right? And it's like, well, and then people, and I go to therapy, so, and I understand like the value of actual training in those areas as far, especially handling it. And sometimes some of these programs, you just hope that, especially any type of healing, obviously it's healing from a thing. Trauma, traumatic, whether it's physical or emotional and all that stuff. So it absolutely has to be handled with care. So that's, I mean, great that you guys sort of know that and address that and everything else. Where, touch all my own nice. How are your students finding you? I mean, I'm sure you just,
spirit. We launched last year, and we did a couple of free events, and we did a 3-day long Rise of the Healers retreat. We had some affiliates for that, and we ended up having 500 people register for that virtual retreat. Yeah.
500 people.
And it was like, I'm getting chills even as I talk about it. I mean, it was totally like spirit brought these people to us, you know, and it was a really powerful 3-day weekend. It was incredible. And we had, you know, almost all of our signups came from that.
Yeah.
So, and I really believe that when you're really aligned and really grounded in that alignment, and you're working with spirit, I mean, one of the wheels that we work with, so there's 8 different wheels for the school, and it's kind of like the energy of a spiral. And Kairos is like a timelessness. It actually, there's like 2 types of time: chronological time, which is from Chronos, and Kairos, which is soul time.
Okay.
It's like the timelessness and it's synchronicity and magic. And so one of the wheels is called the ritual process wheel. And the ritual process wheel is something that Ina and I developed for how we work with spirit to fill our programs. And it involves like the practices that we use and the way we communicate and co-create and the spell casting we do and so forth and so on. So we worked with the goddess, and
and it's only been, you said, like, this cycle that you're, this year that you're in, this is the first year or second sort of group?
This is the first year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And about 54. That's substantial.
Yeah, we were hoping for 44, and you
Yeah.
know, yeah, it's amazing.
That's excellent. Shifting to just you, do you have, do you have morning rituals?
I do. And it changes all the time. And I think this is something that's so important for people to know, because people can get really down on themselves for like not being consistent or not doing it the right way.
Exercise. Like,
Yeah.
I haven't exercised today. I haven't touched my crystals today.
Yeah.
In a bad way.
But it's like, you know, it's like life happens.
Right.
And so for me, I do have a morning ritual, but I try to incorporate my connection with spirit into moments throughout my day, right? And so in the morning, I do meditate. I do, you know, read things that are spiritually fulfilling for me. I do write my dreams down a lot of the time, not all the time. I journal a little bit. I look at, what sign the moon is in and what's the basic astrology for the day to kind of like set myself up, know what I'm getting into for the day, or what I'm working with for the day. And then, I feel like the most important aspect though is that I'm just, I'm never far from spirit. And I think that's when that connection became more seamless feeling throughout my day, that was actually what made the bigger difference. So, I mean, I tend to pull cards in the morning, doesn't hurt. I'll pull a card when I'm looking at the astrology and stuff. But I might just pull a card in the middle of the day because I'm like, oh gosh, I'm wondering about this thing, and I pull a card. Or I might just be like, okay, I feel stuck, like spirit, like help me out here.
I think what you're describing is like many people compartmentalize, like,
yes,
I can only access it when I'm like that focused in this space, this time of day, like if I have that intention, and the intention has to be that focused. Like if I'm driving, I can't do it. If I'm, if I happen to just be laying back, like that's not the right position to be talking to spirit,
Right, totally. And spirit doesn't give a shit.
Right.
The spirit's like, I'm here. So whenever you want to communicate, just communicate, however that works for you, right? And my belief is that spirit always communicates with us in all of the details and all of the little things. There are signs everywhere, and it's the signs are there when we're willing to see them, or when we're
largely
open to them.
Like you said, spirit is always willing to communicate with us. It's largely us as the block, or not open to receive it.
Exactly.
And even by choice sometimes, like I don't want to be hearing that spirit. Or like,
I don't want to hear anything right now.
Okay, right now I don't want to hear things you're telling me, okay? Like,
yeah, and we fill up our day. So, a lot of us have, and this is something that is, we're societally trained in how to numb ourselves. Right? I mean, we grow up with like this being told that we shouldn't feel our feelings, and we have to just like sit in our chair and shut up and listen to the teacher, and we've got to produce a lot. We have a hard work ethic in our society, and so it's like you gotta go, and that doesn't leave a whole lot of time to listen to spirit.
Well, even then it's very much all external stuff. It's like whether or not it's implicitly said don't feel your feelings, it's like look at this, or like experience everything outside of your body.
Yes.
There is rarely, it's changing, but there has rarely in the past been like, look within.
Exactly.
At any level.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Even certain types of prayer was always like outward.
Yes.
Right? It wasn't an inward sort of prayer, it was outward prayer.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I love the way you just said all of that. And if you want to hear spirit, this isn't a necessary, I mean, some people will be like rushing through their day and get a sign. It does happen. Mm-hmm. But generally speaking, if you can slow down and create space in your life and you spend time going inward, you don't have to get all your messages inward, but if you spend time going inward and you're accustomed to, and you know what your body intuition feels like, and you have spaciousness in your life, then you're going to notice more as it's interacting with you.
Right.
So.
I mean, that's a little bit of, having the space for it, to accept it, and,
mm-hmm.
you know, and it doesn't take, it don't really take much, especially when you get in the mode. It's kind of like, part of the reason people don't do it is because mm-hmm. the starting up is hard. I mean, even as basic as meditation, and on top of like, they think it has to be hard.
Right. Like, there's this perception that, and I'm going to use the word God here, even though I typically use goddess, but there's a perception mm-hmm. because of the way we've been taught that God is up there.
Right.
He is away from us. He's judging us, mm-hmm. right? So we better be good, right? And so there is, and in order to connect to him, you have to go through intermediaries because it's so beyond you to be able to do that. So there's a lot like that it's set up to be hard, and that was intentional by the church because the church wanted money, mm-hmm. and they got money being the middlemen, you know. Right. So what we are, I think the shift that is happening is that we're recognizing more and more that we're not separate from spirit,
right.
that we are of spirit. And that to work with spirit is really, it comes through being more intentional in your life and really acknowledging and being open and willing to receive that information from spirit. And so it doesn't have to be complicated. I was just talking with one of my clients a week or so ago, and she was like, she's one of the best, and she's a really busy woman. She said, one of the best things you ever taught me was that I can, do my meditation practice in the shower. I can drop in the shower and I can imagine that.
Oh, that's a great place.
Yeah.
And even just physically sensory wise.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And it's easy to connect when water is coming over you. It's easy to connect to spirit. And then I said, you can imagine that the water is also light, and that the light is cleansing, not just your water's cleansing the body, and the light is cleansing your energy field. And you just take the practice into the shower with you, and that's one way. And when you start doing little things like that, whatever it is, maybe it's blessing your food, maybe it's pausing, maybe it's, with your animals where you really see the God in your animals or your children, that starts to change you. And once you really start to incorporate it in your life, it is very easy for it to be, it doesn't have to be an hour-long practice in the morning.
Right.
And sometimes if I'm in, I like to have spaciousness in my mornings, so I give myself that.
Luxurious. I mean, it's luxurious to have time.
Totally, absolutely. Yeah. But if I don't have time, I don't have time.
Right.
And that's okay. Or if I just don't feel like it one day, that's okay too.
No,
Spirit
you must
still
make
knows
yourself
me.
meditate. I have to meditate, I'm sorry.
Yes, exactly. It's like, I meditate generally because I feel better when I do. Mm-hmm. But is that every day? Not necessarily. And my relationship with spirit has never suffered.
There's a level of judgment that we throw onto that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing this to get away from judgment, and now I'm judging myself for not doing this the way that I'm supposed to do it.
Yes.
Right. So it's always this judgment from outside of us that we're accepting, and then judgment from within that we're accepting. Yeah. And that's a whole level of like, we just gotta let that go, especially when it's stopping us from doing things, or even just the base level of all this judgment, especially our own, is making us feel bad.
Exactly. Like the morning practice is not meant to make you feel bad. It's supposed to make you feel good.
You're not supposed to feel bad because you didn't do your morning practice.
Yes, or you didn't do it in the exact right way you wanted to do it.
The right way, yes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Now you're going to Peru for a bit of time here. What sort of workshop is that, real quick?
So we are basically we're going to be in the Sacred Valley, which is where Machu Picchu is, and a lot of other sacred Inca sites, right? And so we'll be outside of Cusco, and we're going to go to many sites, which is going to be really exciting. And I was there in 1998.
It's a while.
And I had a very profound early spiritual experience where I was not spiritual at the time, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So it's like the land, like Pachamama, the land is really powerful. And what Ina and I do together is we do channeled activations together. That's like kind of like the healing work we do together. And we're going to do channeled activations at these sites.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
You have about 24, 25?
There's 24 of us.
Oh, that's good. That's so lucky.
It's going to be so powerful.
Awesome. Well, thank you for talking today.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it. That was excellent. Such a good conversation. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think I'll catch up with you again sometime in the future.
Awesome. That sounds great. Thanks,
All
Mark.
right. Thank you. Bye.